There we go.
Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and by popular demand, we're back. So we wanted to try and smile. Look at the camera. We wanted to give you some more tip-top advice about menopause health. Actually, we're just having a chat about it because that way I can find out all the things I need to know and we all can
For free.
share in the joy
For free.
Yeah, no, but it's useful.
Okay.
It's like it's like a giving back to society sort of thing. So I wanted to ask you. Several people said to me, "Well, it's not all about HRT, and it's not all about chemical stuff." So even though they're hormonal supplements, not chemicals, I wanted to ask you about alternatives to HRT. So I can never say this right, but black kush, how do you say it? There's like some herby roots.
I say it black cohosh.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the right way of saying it.
Probably better. So people say to me that's really good, and I've read a lot of things that say that's really bad for your liver. And I wanted to know, is it really good or is it really bad for your liver, or should you be wasting your money on, old herbs that may not make that much difference?
Black cohosh. So black cohosh is not so popular in the UK.
It's big in America. Sorry, carry on.
And it is really big in continental Europe.
Oh, is it?
They're really going mad for it. And when I was at a meeting earlier in the year in Berlin, there was a lot of presentations. There were loads of presentations about the use of black cohosh, and it's used quite a lot in continental, but it tends not to be used so much here. But it is available over the counter at pharmacies, health food shops, etc. Now, there's lots and lots and lots of women who find black cohosh very helpful, and in dealing with hot flushes, it probably is very good at dealing with hot flushes. From a medical point of view, it's a bit of a yin and a yang thing. If it's good enough to have some upsides, there's always going to be the potential for complications or side effects. And black cohosh has unfortunately been associated with liver failure in a few people. So it can't be very bad because we wouldn't be allowed to be sold, and it wouldn't be so widely used. But I think that it's got to be used with care. I think before you take black cohosh, you should check with your GP or your physician just to make sure that there aren't any contraindications. And the main reasons not to take it is if you've got any problems with your liver or have had liver problems in the past. But for lots of people, it's really helpful. The other things that are useful is any phytoestrogens. So related to plant estrogens. So foodstuffs that are high in phytoestrogens, soya, a lot of the super greens. But again, if they've got enough estrogen or estrogen activity in them to be helpful, then you do worry whether they're going to have effects elsewhere.
Because people were really into soya for a while, and then soya became like a thing that nobody wants to touch. I think it's because it gives men boobs. People told me that.
Yeah, well, soya can't be that bad because there's lots of parts of the world where soya is the main crop.
That's
so
true.
it can't be that bad. I think everything goes in and out of fashion. The other supplement that a lot of women find helpful, especially those women who can't take estrogens, is sage and sage tablets, and it's good, but it can be good enough for a lot of women, but it's maybe not strong enough for other women.
How do you know how to administer things like that? That's my thing. Like it can.
It's a tablet.
But you take loads of it, like because you say take it wisely, but like how do you know what's wise?
Actually, you should take it sagely.
So man joke. So, but like, can you like with the black cohosh? Can you just like ladle that on? I have definitely read studies that said don't touch it, and I know some like specialist-y type people in the States who say don't touch it because it's terrible for your liver.
I don't know if I would say don't touch it. I just think just be careful with it and just make sure you don't have any contraindications, so reasons not to take it.
So you have to have a liver check essentially.
I wouldn't get my liver checked, but I would just check with my doctor that they don't think there's any reason not to take it.
Okay, so your GP.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, and that's everything. Sage and black.
I think those are probably the ones that most women find most effective. There are going to be lots of other herbs and nutritional supplements that people use, but for most women, those are the ones that most women will find most useful.
It seems to be quite trendy at the moment to find things that support estrogen, like on Amazon. Not necessarily on Amazon, but like on lots of shops. My daughter's got like an acne thing, and she bought these pills for hormone balance. And when I started to look into them, there were masses of hormone balance things. They don't really balance your hormones, do they?
No, I think there's a lot of. I think it's straying into territory where products are offered to people without a lot of scientific evidence, which are marketed nicely, which may not be so helpful, but
like the whole protein thing, everyone should be taking every kind of protein powder and protein pill there is, but not necessarily. So we're going into hormones now. Okay, so hormones are the new black. Right. So we were talking earlier about cardio and working out.
Oh yeah,
and things that are good for you.
Yeah.
And what you think is necessary. I know what I think is necessary for hormones as a practical hormone balancing menopause person in the flesh. I think it's better to do like a good mix of everything, but definitely weight bearing stuff. That does not mean massive amounts of weight. It just means things that make your bones stronger.
Yeah,
right?
Correct. that's how we know each other, is through exercise. And so exercise is so important, so important for general well-being. But when we talk about menopause, the things that I'm bothered about is bone strength and amount of body fat.
Yeah.
So osteoporosis, or weakening or thinning of bones, is partly helped by making sure that you do some weight-bearing exercise. And so that's lifting weights, it's
resistance things.
Yeah, and it's anything that pushes against gravity, because bones need gravity to keep strong. Do you remember when, like in the old days, when the astronauts came back from space, they'd be like really weak and really fragile?
Yeah.
That's because they lose their muscle mass, but they also lose their bone strength, because we need gravity to help keep the bones strong. So you need to make sure that you're doing some weight-bearing exercise.
What do the astronauts do now?
I think most of them are unemployed because there's no much.
What do they do about the bone density now? Are they doing weights in space?
I suppose they must do some weights in space, but or resistance in space. But I just don't think you can do anything about the gravity. So I don't know.
So it might just be modern times as well.
Yeah.
But I think like the best thing to do is to do lots of different things. You need mobility, you need flexibility, you need to focus on your concentration. It's quite good. I think it's better than doing Sudoku if you work out and you concentrate. Like I really do. Because if you like train your mind to settle all the time and like focus on what you're supposed to be doing, then it's quite good as you get older. I have a client who's 82 and he's got dementia, and when he comes in and he works out with me, because it's repetitive, you can really see his mind working in that it trains it back to like flat line. And my dad had dementia, and I know that when we did stuff together, it was like workout stuff. It was the repetitiveness of doing it was very good for his mind. So I think in menopause, when you get like a little bit, like when you're pregnant, you get like pregnant brain. In your menopause, you sometimes drift off a bit. Is that a medical thing, or is that just a thing, just because we can't be bothered to listen to people?
I think that there's a lot of mind and concentration do go with menopause, and in fact, it's one of the sort of important symptoms that I ask about, and women will declare as a symptom that. that concentration does go, and concentration can be helped by all the things that you've been talking about, but also by HRT. But it's quite interesting in listening to what you were just saying then, because you were talking about focusing on being present. I think that is important, because when hormones are in flux and times are in change, that you've got to keep yourself very much in the present and try not to worry too much about the other stuff, and exercise is definitely a way of maintaining that.
Definitely keeps me happier. Like, I think that I'd be like way more super stressed if I didn't work out a lot. And I love working out because it just kind of gives you time not to think. And then as well, you see everybody else being like normal, and you always think, oh my god, my life is a really big mess. But when you go and meet other people and hang out with them, you realise everybody your age is really fine. We're all fine, and we're all a bit wobbly on edges, and we don't like bits of ourselves, and it's kind of like normal. And when you sweat and stuff, you can't really pose that much. If you're going anywhere where you can pose and you're sweating, go somewhere else. So only go to places where people get a bit dishevelled. If you look good on your way out, you haven't done enough. No.
So I think a balance between weight-bearing exercise and cardio is the best, and that seems to be the most sensible.
Because of Brexit.
Are you really talking about Brexit now?
Yeah, in mild doses. You see, I'm still calm. So, because of Brexit and all our lovely French friends and everything leaving, because of Brexit, there are no HRT patches, according to modern folklore.
Is
that true?
Yeah, I just don't think it's got anything to do with Brexit.
Don't you?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. No, I think there was a problem with the manufacturing, with some adhesives that, and then it sort of got domino effect onto other products. I don't think it's got anything to do with Brexit.
Is there a big shortage?
And it's a bit hit and miss in what is available and what's not available. I was under the impression that it was all going to be sort of sorted out by November.
What was Brexit?
Well, yes, and HRT. Do you think they're related?
Everything is related.
Do you think Boris needs to be on HRT?
Probably. There, honestly.
But biologically, well, they do separate jobs. The job of the ovaries is to mature and release eggs. And in doing so, releases hormones.
Right. So the egg goes from the uterus to the...
Other way around.
Other way. It sails down. There was a sailing down thing. I remember.
Goes from the ovary through the fallopian tubes into the uterus.
Right, into the fallopian. So if you don't have fallopian tubes...
Tubes, you can't get pregnant, but you can still... But you'll still have periods.
And do they have any part in menopause?
No.
Do they just...
No.
Okay, so you're good without the fallopian. Don't worry about your fallopian tubes. We're all good to go. Right. Did we have any more questions? No. Okay, so that's today's episode of...
Menopause.
Change the menopause. So if you have any more questions or anything that you'd like to know, any random old thing at all, just send us a message.
You know, I think one question, there's some questions that I get a lot that we could talk about.
Tell us that.
So we get questions about early menopause.
Yes.
So those are women under the age of 40 who unfortunately have gone through a menopause.
Why does that happen?
Well, we'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
And what else do I get asked a lot about recently? So we've done the weight.
Men's hormones.
We can talk about men's hormones another time if you want men's hormones talked about, then let us know.
I think it's quite important because I think there's quite a lot more going on with men than even the complicated, obvious stuff that goes on with them. But I do think they have... I read this thing once in some book about... There was a thing...
Yeah.
And it might be just men looking for attention, but it was a thing about like men have a big hormone crisis in their mid-age, and then I wanted to know if we should give them all testosterone to make them like back to normal, and should women have testosterone? So
do you know what? You know what's far more interesting?
What?
Is testosterone replacement in women.
Yeah.
That is much more interesting.
But doesn't that make you have a big face and grow hair?
No.
You get a jaw. I've seen some people who've overdone it and they have like a...
Who?
Who? I'm not saying here, but I know people who have quite big square jaws. That didn't used to have quite big square jaws.
Not on normal doses of testosterone.
No, but if they're overdoing it.
What, like, what, like a female bodybuilder?
No, but some women think that if you take testosterone when you're in menopause, it's really good for your libido.
It is.
So if
Can be.
So if your libido has gone,
Let's talk about that another time because it's really interesting and it's much more interesting than testosterone replacement in men.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
But so if you get some for yourself, can you just put some on a man? You happen to be hanging out with. Okay, and furthermore,
you need to find one
we
first,
will
don't
have
you?
this conversation. I don't know if I want one, to be honest. I'm quite happy in my little world. But if you want one, like the testosterone conversation, then give us a buzz. I think we should do it anyway because I'm quite fascinated now.
Okay, next time.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye. Bye.
Press the button.
Right, I'll edit.